Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Robotics Notes DaSH. In the last episode, things were going well on Tanegashima Island. The Wazaika Gun Festival was underway, Sumiya was giving a grandiose speech, and to top it all off, there were fireworks to commemorate the opening of the festival. But it was during the latter that something unexpected happened. Well, more so for the people of Tanegashima Island than the members of the Robotics Club. Because a certain someone has decided to be a gatecrasher to this party and has made his reappearance of sorts. An individual whom the Robotics Club had thought it had seen the last of 6 months ago. And yet our unwanted guest hinted at the fact that despite our seemingly ultimate victory back in February, that we might encounter each other again at some point in the near future. Even though I was almost sure that, yeah, we'd seen the last of him, but if only. A suspicious laugh drowns out Akitan's voice. Cackling maniacally as usual, I see. The voice grows louder and louder until it's enough for the entire island to hear. Part of me is tempted to, part of me is tempted to believe that we are the only ones who can see this apparition, but that isn't the case. Yeah, everyone is looking up at the sky, and I do mean everyone. The fireworks that once painted the sky now perfectly form the shape of a human. It's a very good, a very neat trick, because there's no mistaking it. That is... Yes, indeed. He has returned, and his resurgence ultimately means that once again we have problems. Serious problems. I don't think we're going to be able to get rid of him like the last time.
Kimijima Kou!
Indeed, Kaito. Kou Kimijima, back from the beyond. And Ivory has every right to be afraid. Very afraid. Irie-tan grabs Yashio-kyun's sleeve and hides behind him.
そんな、ど どうして。
I think we may or may not find out the answer to that, although, yeah.
どうしてあいつが
Alive as being generous with the truth there, Sabaru. Because Kou Kimijima may be present before us, but he is certainly not alive.
オリエンティ意味不思議。
Took the words right out of my mouth there, Frau. Mother of God. Net slang used in the 2000s. A phrase used to express astonishment or disbelief. IDGI. Net slang originating in the 1990s. Short for, I don't get it. Everybody at the festival is looking up at the sky and chatting quietly among themselves. Yeah. Except that this wasn't part of the schedule. But right now, there is only one firm, unshakable truth. And that's that this man is Kou Kimijima, the same person behind the conspiracy that shook Japan. No, the whole world just 6 months ago. Kou Kimijima. He is indeed the conspirator and perpetrator responsible for the incident 6 months ago. But that's not the only threatening part about him. His flesh is no longer a part of this world. He only exists as data. The one wrinkle in his twisted schemes was that he was murdered by one of the people that he was manipulating. But that didn't stop him. Because now he exists as a digital avatar of sorts. He digitized himself so that he would continue to manipulate people even after his death to execute his plan to annihilate the world. Project Atum. Project Atum, a stage of the human domestication project that Kou Kimijima tried to execute in February 2020. Its goal was to launch and detonate a BHB, black hole bomb, in the space between the Earth and the Moon at a distance of about 130,000 kilometers away from the Earth's surface. Doing so would forcefully activate a solar storm, which in turn would generate a magnetic substorm that would wipe out roughly half of the human population. The remaining humans that survived would live out the rest of their lives as livestock. Thanks to the efforts of the CT Robotics Club, this plot was stopped at the very last second. With that said, Kou Kimijima has many more quote-unquote experiments that he's been tinkering with. After all, he was an inventor in life and supposedly in death. And then of course there are the matter of his backers. The insidious organization, syndicate that devised Project Atum as one of its own myriad of schemes. I wonder how they'll be taking all this, if indeed they are observing. And just as he was about to reach his goal, Yashio-kyun and his team, the Robotics Club, were able to stop him. That was then, and this is now.
愉快だね。実に愉快だ。かりそめの勝利に酔い、バカ騒ぎに興じるその姿、実に滑稽だよ。
Snide as always, and yet he's not wrong. Kou Kimijima's cold voice echoes through the festival grounds, which have fallen into dead silence.
言ったはずだよ。すぐに第2、第3の僕が現れるだろうと。それが今さ。
Indeed you did, and one had hoped that you would actually resurface much later than now, but that obviously was a forlorn hope.
僕の野望があの程度でついえると思ったのかい？だとしたらなおさら滑稽だね。面白い。本当に面白いよ。
Pouring salt in the wound now.
君島公、どうして今さら？
That's an excellent question.
どうして今さら復活したか。そんなこと決まっているじゃないか。もう一度プロジェクトアトムを成功させるため。
Ah, so he can hear us given the fact that he has responded to Akio's query. Normally, however, in the past, Kou Kimijima wouldn't be visible to the naked eye, as he, like other virtual avatars of the time, could only be viewed through the likes of programs like IRUO, the very program devised by Kou Kimijima back in the day, as another facet of his projects. Of course, there is a way that he can now be viewed by everyday people in reality, but that can wait. The Robotics Club kids' expressions immediately change. Don't tell me you have another black hole bomb ready to be launched from a rocket into outer space yet again.
と言いたいところだけど、あの実験はすでに過去のもの。最後まで検証できなかった時点で実験としては不完全だったということだ。
Too true. After all, well, at that point you didn't really have the full resources of your conspirators, though you had considerable help. But fail it did, thanks to our efforts.
もちろん、これを負け惜しみと取るならそれで構わない。ともかく僕は新たなる実験を開始することにした。
As I said, he has many plots up his sleeve.
世界を僕のものにする。そんな実験をね。
Yeah. I wonder how the group you used to belong to would take to that. Not kindly, I imagine.
君たちに分かりやすい陳腐な言葉で言うなら、そう、世界征服ってところかな。
A little bit cliche, perhaps.
世界征服。
But right now he is simply toying with us, at this moment in time. And yet, despite being a digital avatar of the netherworld, Kou Kimijima is still very much dangerous. Akitan says while clenching her fists. Kou Kimijima frowns.
おやおや、気に入らないね。その反応。もっと恐れおののくと思ったのに。
Well, you thought wrong, didn't you?
わかったよ。そういうことなら、まずは手始めに面白い余興を見せてあげようじゃないか。
I don't like the sound of that.
今から僕が君たちを混沌の世界に陥れてあげよう。見るがいい。いでよ。マッチロックシップ。
That sounds quite ominous. Matchlock, the first ever mechanical firing device. It consists of an S-shaped arm known as a serpentine and a pan that is attached to the side of the barrel known as a flashpan. In order to fire, a match would be placed in the serpentine, and a trigger device would lower the arm so that the lit match would light. Would light the priming pistol resting in the flashpan. Flash produced by this would then travel through the touch hole, igniting the main charge. A loud roar pierces our ears as Kou Kimijima screams to the heavens.
No!
The sound comes from the surface of a mountain located just outside the port. Despite the terrain being seemingly unfit for human life, the mountain surface is a central residential area for Nishinamote. There are a bunch of houses built there. We can see something. And suddenly a part of it begins to glow red. A column of light stretches toward the sky, creating a fiery pillar. Well, that's not good. It actually sort of looks like a rocket launch. But instead of heading straight for the stratosphere, the fiery column abruptly changes course. Yeah, a rocket launch in reverse as for its destination. Yeah. With a deafening roar, the bright red ball of light is headed straight here to the venue. Sumio trying to defuse the situation. No one's going to listen to him. The entire festival has erupted into screams. People frantically try to make their way to the exits. Trying to escape what's happening. There must be more to Kou's demonstration than this. Before anybody else can make it out of this. The ball of flames disappears and instead a giant square figure floats above our heads. That looks more like a ship than a square, if I'm being honest. Firearms Museum. A museum located in Yoshinomote where the history of Tanegashima is displayed, along with its nature and folklore. Its main attraction is its firearms display, which features matchlock guns introduced by the Portuguese. First domestically produced matchlock gun, and various other firearms. However, the main attraction is the building's ship-shaped appearance. The museum's official name is the Tanegashima Development Center Firearms Museum. The Tanegashima General Development Center Firearms Museum is a boat-shaped facility built to teach visitors about Tanegashima's history and culture. I read about it while on the ferry. This massive, rusty red stone ship is literally floating above our heads. As soon as people start to notice it's a familiar structure, they stop trying to flee and once again stare at it dumbfounded. That's right. Before we're able to process what exactly is happening, Kou Kimijima shouts his command. The Firearms Museum responds. It's moving. Actually, that's a poor description. It's not just moving, it's transforming, just as he said. The Firearms Museum, which was laying flat like a ship, stands up with its stern pointed down. The bow protrudes outward and splits sideways, small spheres coming out from inside of it. The building that had once looked like a ship has now become something entirely different in a matter of seconds. It's a giant humanoid figure. other words, a robot. And admittedly a very terrifying one at that. Yeah. More than meets the eye indeed, I'd say. Asking someone to stay calm while watching the Firearms Museum transform into a robot is a tough sell. The folks here for the festival aren't even considering what this thing might do next. They're just staring up at it in breathless admiration. The robot is currently blasting flames from the vernier thrusters on its feet as it floats in midair. Vernier thruster, a small rocket engine. It is called a vernier in the anime Mobile Jacket Gunbound, but that is not the name used in reality. It mainly refers to the items that control a robot's altitude, even though it says attitude there for some reason.
マッチロックロボ剣山
A quaint name for it. The robot is showered in the gazes of the present audience. And also, speaking of which, it's also actually holding a matchlock gun of its own. Ironic. The robot shows no signs of moving any further. Instead, Kou Kimijima starts talking again.
どうだい? 僕の力をもってすれば、この程度のことはたやすくできるのだよ。
So you claim, and yet, even your powers have their limits.
言っておくが、僕が使えるのはこのマッチロックロボだけじゃない。ありとあらゆる力が今や僕のこの君島港の支柱にある。
Had also been staring at the robot in awe, but she somehow managed to recollect herself and shift into top gear before anyone else. Just like that, she snatches the mic from Mr. Candy and starts yelling into it.
言っただろ。世界を根本に陥れ、世界の支配構造を覆すこと。そう。つまり世界を我が手中に収めることだ。
なんだかどこかで聞いたようなセリフですね。
中に落つ。
I've already realized at this point. No, it's not just me. Naitan, Yashio-kun and the others should have already caught on too.
これって電磁波照射装置の仕業。
Electromagnetic wave radiation equipment. A device that converts electricity into electromagnetic waves and diffuses them. These generated electromagnetic waves affect the human brain, causing hallucinations and other effects. In layman's terms, that essentially means that everything we've witnessed up until now hasn't been real at all, just a figment of the mind's eye, including being able to perceive Kou Kimijima himself. Which essentially means for now we're safe, because he can't technically hurt us with such displays. However, at this point in time, we can't say for certain what Kou can and can't do in terms of his capabilities. But to go back to Nai's earlier quip about hearing Kou's declaration about plunging the world into chaos, and Daru's quip of nice Chunibyu, Kou's mentality and behavior is eerily similar to that of the insane mad scientist, Kou Kimijima, Phoenix from the Ashes. But while the latter is a gimmick of sorts, just a made-up caricature, Kou Kimijima, unfortunately, is the real deal, a true insane mad scientist.
まず間違いないでしょうね。
そんなことうちらがさせない。
君たちにまたあの奇跡が起こせるとでも？残念だけど、あれはたまたま。
He's not wrong there, though.
たまたまうまくいっただけの、いわばまぐれみたいなものだ。
Ooh, shots fired. Yeah. Especially when the shots you're firing are being directed at the likes of Kaito Yashio, the #1 player in all of Pure Ballad. Yeah. You might regret those words later on.
当然まぐれは一度きり。二度と起きるはずがない。
He has a point. After all, Super Gunbuild 1 is simply a monument now to this festival. Yeah. To defeat Kou Kimijima, we're going to have to come up with another strategy. I actually agree with him. Their battle was basically a miracle. As far as I could tell from the video feed, all sorts of physics-defying weirdness went down. I'm about 80% certain of what caused it, but the heck if I understand the last 20%. May have to ask Kaito and Akio about that, Daru. Although, they might not be so willing to tell you right off the bat. It's a very personal thing. Kou's not done with us yet. Oh no, he is far from done with his little elaborate display.
「このまま簡単に目的を達成したところで面白くもなんともない」というわけで君たちにもチャンスを与えようじゃないか。
Still toying with us. Kou Kimijima states joyfully.
Chance?
I don't think the Monopoly kind, or maybe the Monopoly kind.
そう、明日から君たちの身の回りに混沌という名の鉄槌が下るだろう。
Tomorrow, huh? Kou Kimijima sure is acting like he has a case of Chunibyu.
要するにどういうことだってばよ。
要するに不可思議な現象が起きるってことさ。
つまりは今日ここで起きてるようなことが起きるってこと？
Something tells me that Kou is going to find a way to answer that question.
それは想像にお任せする。
そんなことしたんじゃ、せっかくみんなが楽しみにしてたお祭りが台無しになっちゃうじゃん。
Going to. You already have Zakio.
だからチャンスをあげると言ってるんだよ。
Kou Kimijima spreads his arms wide and casually states.
その現象を止めたくば、僕が島中に設置しているジオタグをオフにするしかない。
Geotag, a term that refers to the addition of geographical data such as longitude and latitude to a photograph, video, text data, etc. This allows the data to be displayed on either a map or in a specific location. Geotags.
Humu. そのジオタグが起動スイッチになってるってことで OK？
KK, net slang originating in the 2000s, short for OK.
そういうことだ。いわばこれは僕から君たちへの挑戦状というわけだ。
Ah. He answered Daru that time. Interesting. I wonder if, given his unique existence, Kou Kimijima is aware of who Itaru Hashida actually is. I wonder. But that's a matter we can set aside for later. Kou Kimijima's challenge. Isn't there a game from way back when with a name like that? Supposedly it was nearly impossible to clear. Yeah, interesting that you should bring that up, Daru, because back when all this started, yeah, Kou Kimijima managed to pull the wool over our eyes by publishing a series of reports basically outing his erstwhile conspirator organization. But it was because he did that that we were blinded to his true nature and ambitions until it was almost far too late. Even though the damage had been done, however, we were able to actually uncover the truth in the end. Unfortunately, uncovering those reports involved a little bit of sadistic joy on the part of Kou in the form of bizarre little mini-games, quote-unquote. Various activities that seemed entirely unnecessary and completely out of place for someone who's supposedly warning the world of a great catastrophe, even if it was one caused by himself. But back then, Kaito was able to cheese some of those prerequisites by deciphering various loopholes. I don't think we're going to be so lucky in this instance, but I don't think that it's going to be as simple as just turning off and on and off the geotags. I really didn't want to have to use IUO in this situation, but Kou's left us with no choice but to play his little game, even if it does achieve its ends.
だからそれらを全て見つけてオフにできれば君たちの勝ち。できなければ僕の勝ちというのでどうだい？
Once once again we're as lab rats running around a maze towards the cheese. It's too simple. Far too simple.
東大ってそれ俺たちに選択権あるの？
As Kaito said, we have little choice.
もちろんない。
Of course. So basically the same as always.
But でも種子島つったって結構広いっしょ。そんな中から探し出すなんて無理だろ上皇。
I think you're underestimating Kaito a bit there, Daru. Noob. Net slang originating in the 2000s, short for newbie. Generally used on websites and in games to mock foolish behavior, attributing it to the target's inexperience. Variants include noob, etc. Also, Kaito is the last person who you should be referring to as a noob. Just throwing that out there.
もちろんヒントは出してある。
How very generous of you.
そりゃありがたいことで。
That was sarcasm, by the way. If, yeah, you didn't know. Of course, I was speaking to Kou there.
それでは君たちの健闘を祈る。せいぜい僕を楽しませてくれたまえ。
ちょっと待って。
And like that has gone. Vanishing back into the ether again. Just as suddenly as Kou Kimijima appeared, so too does he vanish after saying his piece. The crowds of people are left looking up at the sky dumbfounded. The festive vibe completely ruined. Immiserations. Well, once again the gauntlet has been thrown. Not too long after Kou Kimijima disappeared from the sky, the Robotics Club members gathered at the festival office headquarters, which is where we're going to end this episode of Let's Play Robotics Notes DaSH, and when we return, it's just like old times. As always, until next we meet.